Coming up on the Charge on Air.
The Young Americans for Freedom Club hosted a way for students to remember 9/11.
A fraternity will be making its way back onto campus after 20 years.
Plus, a new club made its debut on campus this week.
In sports, UCF football is off a bye week, set to face UNC and Super Bowl winning head coach Bill Belichick.
The Charge on Air starts now. Good afternoon and welcome to the Charge on Air. I'm Skyler Williamson.
And I'm Cecily Webb. Today is Friday, September 19th, 2025. School shootings have become a harsh reality for many college students. On September 11th, a day traditionally marked as a time of remembrance nationwide, students at UCF faced a very different kind of memory. Charge on Air reporter Christie St has a story on the disturbing threat that shocked the Black community on campus and how student organizations took action.
On Thursday, students received a screenshot of an email allegedly sent to the university. The message was filled with racial slurs and violent threats. It quickly spread across social media. The threat prompted an immediate response, not from UCF administration, but from Black student organizations who decided they couldn't wait for official action. Classrooms, which were scheduled to host programming from these groups, were empty. Groups like NAACP, AK Psi, Sisters, NPHC, and the Reconstruction Dance Troupe canceled their events and urged Black students to stay off campus for their safety. Jemiah Powell, a senior sports production major and VP of Reconstruction, explains the reasons behind their decision.
Even though our event was later on the afternoon, we don't know who's on campus, we don't know who's watching us on campus, and we're trying to protect us and the people that was coming to the event.
Hours later, the UCF Police Department posted on X saying that other universities across the globe were having the same experience and that this threat was just not credible. However, for students like Corey Barnes Jr., this response from the university was dismissive and just not good enough.
Take it seriously. In my opinion, what makes something a credible threat? You can say anything you want to anybody, and it's only credible if you feel threatened. So that's why I feel as though UCF should have taken it very seriously, and whether it just be telling professors hey, give students the chance to, stay home because they're fearing for their safety or they're not okay with being here, let that be okay and not have people treat it as though it's just another day in the park and it's not them, so why should I care?
Several additional statements came out that night, but for many students, it was too little, too late. I've reached out to UCF Public Safety for clarity on their next steps, but have yet to receive a response. For now, students are left with more questions than answers. In Orlando, Christie St. Charge on Air.
We'll keep you updated as this story continues to unfold.
UCF's first-year experience office is changing its name to the Office of New Student and Family Programs. How the office has grown to support more than just first-year students. The office now assists families, lead organizations, and provides resources for students during their entire time at UCF. Over the next few weeks, the new name will roll out across campus signs, websites, and marketing materials. The new name aims to show students and families that support doesn't end after the first year.
The time has come for Phi Kappa Alpha to make its return to main campus. Charge on Air reporter Skyler Williamson tells us more about what brotherhood looks like at UCF.
The Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity, also known as Pike, is returning to the UCF Greek community. In 2005, UCF officials said Pike was suspended due to a scavenger hunt incident. After 20 years, the fraternity has been reinstated and officially made its comeback to UCF. UCF alumni and member of Pike, John Alvarez Turner, works as the Student Affairs Director at the University of Georgia. Alvarez-Turner says the Pike experience allowed him to meet other Greeks and got him his first job in education.
The most important tradition is probably something you'll hear from any Pike, but also from any fraternity, and it's the brotherhood. That central tradition of brotherhood gave me that sense of home and belonging.
The Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life, OFSL, says Pike's expansion is approved for this fall semester. The two sorority houses behind me used to be one combined house that the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity called their home here on Greek Row. As of now, it is undecided as to where their new home will be located, but the chapter says they will continue recruiting for the next 7 weeks out of the student union. Dante Fung, a member of the Alpha Tau Omega fraternity at UCF, says increasing the number of fraternities on campus leads to more participation in philanthropic events and volunteer work.
It'll promote a good sense of competition between the fraternities. Everyone's participating in the philanthropy events, so everyone wants to outdo each other and raise more money and just be more active within each event.
Fung says a healthy dose of competition is good for fraternities on campus. The Pike International Fraternity says their main goal is to inspire brotherhood and work towards the betterment of their communities. In Orlando, Skyler Williamson, The Charge on Air.
While there is no further information about the current status of the rush process, the fraternity's mission remains the same.
Constitution Day is a chance to reflect on the document that shaped our democracy, but many of the same debates from 1787 are still happening on college campuses. Reporter Allison Castillo shows us how a UCF event is connecting history.
Could the Constitution be ratified, or would the nation remain divided? One student argued it couldn't be. The panel featured 5 speakers, a mix of historians, government workers, and legal experts. Speakers focused on how compromise between Federalists and Anti-Federalists in the 1700s made ratification possible, and stressed that finding common ground is just as essential today in a politically divided society. Mike Cavern, Director of Military and Veteran Student Success at UCF, says Constitution Day is more than a historical observance. It's a reminder of how documents impact daily life.
Events like today can reduce polarization by the fact we all come together to discuss the thoughts and ideas of the Constitution. It gives us an opportunity for honest discussion and open debate that may bridge that divide that the polarization in our country is currently causing.
Urging students to engage with the news carefully and look beyond the headlines. Students had the chance to hear different perspectives at this debate. With recent events, there has been so much division fueled by social media. I spoke with one student whether the Constitution could be ratified today. Morgan Nicholson, a sophomore at UCF and executive director of the Lead Scholars Academy, believes the Constitution would not ratify today.
In today's world, the U.S. Constitution would never be ratified. I think that is very true. There's so much polarization on both sides of the political spectrum that we just can't compromise anymore. We can't find a middle ground.
Morgan's concerned about the media, saying it often amplifies hate and creates a dangerous environment by blurring the lines between facts and opinion. In Orlando, Allison Castillo, UCF, The Charge on Air.
More than 2 centuries later, the debate over the Constitution still sparks conversation, proving some questions never fade.
A new organization called Patriot's Pathway of America launched last Friday in the UCF Ballroom and will be officially kicking off their weekly meetings on Monday. I had a chance to speak with the club and find out more. Community members and UCF students came together for the launch of Patriot's Pathway of America at UCF. The group is described as a place for networking and personal growth. Cristobal Pinochet, founder of PPOA, talks about what it is and why he started the organization.
Why would we promote patriotism? Now, you would think that in the year 2025, both sides would agree that, loving your country, being the best yourself for the good of your country is something that we can all come together with.
Luke Paul, the event chairman of the club on campus, Young American Patriots, says Patriots Pathway is different from other political groups on campus because of its focus on patriotism as a unifying idea.
Patriots Pathway is an organization that's improving the country by becoming the best patriot, best citizen that you could possibly be.
Bo Loudon, Gen Z influencer and speaker at the event, highlighted the message that patriotism should not be political.
I think whether you're on the right or the left or whatever party or wherever you lie, it's very important to understand what it means to be a patriot and why it's important, because this country was built by patriots. It was built by people like Charlie Kirk.
During the event last Friday, organizers took some time to honor Charlie Kirk's recent death, as Charlie was a big influence in the leadership team's lives. Police were also present at the event, as it was just 2 days after the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Patriots Pathway of America is meeting weekly in the student union, but throughout the week, founder Christie and other members of the club are engaging with students on campus about what it means to be a patriot.
In Orlando, Cecily, Webb, The Charge on Air. Patriots Pathway will have their first official meeting on Monday in the student union.
September weather has been doing the absolute most. 1 minute it's giving Sahara Desert, the next it's a whole water park out here.
I know, right? I had the perfect heatless curls yesterday, and by noon, I looked like a French poodle.
I swear, if it rains this weekend, I'm suing this guy. I just washed my hair, and my soul isn't ready for the betrayal.
Bryanna, hit us with the forecast. I need to know if my hair is safe or I should just wear a helmet.
Well, Cecily, I wouldn't scour the web for a helmet just yet, but let's take a look at our current conditions. So as you can see here, everything is the same in our sunny Orlando with 90-degree weather, so that heat is going to be making us very glimmery, and with a humidity of 53% and winds northeast at 9 miles per hour and a 15% chance of rain. So we don't have to worry about that rain too much, but back to you guys at the desk.
Florida officials announced sweeping changes to vaccine requirements.
Plus, a UCF football assistant coach was hospitalized this week.
Look the same again. Everyday issues like pollution, climate change, sea level rise, they threaten the beautiful nature here in our backyard. But here at UCF, you personally can receive funding to make a change. Students of all backgrounds are encouraged to apply for the Gulf Scholars Program. Funded by a grant from the National Academies of Sciences, this program prepares future leaders to solve some of the toughest issues our environment will face, all through team-based research and education right here at UCF. Participating students can receive mentorship from faculty in multiple fields, paid travel, and the chance to make up to $5,000 per year for each year in the program. Plus, Gulf Scholars get the chance to go on unique adventures around Florida's Gulf Coast, showing them exactly why it should be protected up close. Undergraduate students in any major can apply at gulfscholars.research.ucf.edu.
We said we'd never give in to a meltdown.
Okay.
And we'd never babysit with a screen. We said we'd never let the toys take over. Never leave the house looking, well, and never let them out of our sight.
Skyler.
Skyler, come here. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
A new club on campus named Young Americans for Freedom hosted a mini flag planting last Thursday to honor those who were lost in 9/11. Charge on Air reporter Lucas Miller was there at the event.
The tension in the air was thick. 24 years ago, terrorists attacked our beloved nation, and 2,977 Americans lost their lives. The Young Americans for Freedom Club hosted a mini flag planting commemorating those who were lost. Chairman of the club, Jake Suggs, tells me about how he feels the event has gone so far and how the recent assassination of Charlie Kirk has impacted the event.
As a relatively new organization here on campus, that
means a lot to me. That makes me feel really good that what we're doing actually means something to some of these people on campus. It's really somber, especially after yesterday's events with Charlie Kirk, and I think that's why something like this is so important.
I'm standing right in front of where students were able to place down as many American flags as they want to commemorate the loss of many Americans 24 years ago today. Now let's go ahead and talk to someone who's experienced the weight of this tragic event. Student Andrew Fisher tells me that although he wasn't alive for the terrorist attacks, he still feels the sadness throughout his friends and his family.
The biggest thing that really struck me, especially as a kid, was one of my best friends told me that his older sister was on one of the planes. Every day I text him and say, hey, she died in the most honorable way possible for our country.
Nearing the end of the event, hundreds of American flags scattered the grass as students left with a smile on their face. In Orlando, Lucas Miller, The Charge on Air.
Students can find more information about the club on their Instagram at UCF_YAF.
In the beginning of September, the Florida Surgeon General announced Florida's desire to end all vaccine mandates. I had the chance to find out more.
On Wednesday, September 3rd, Florida Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo announced alongside Governor Ron DeSantis that Florida will be attempting to end all vaccine mandates within the state. Ladapo stood in front of the news conference and said, "Who am I to tell you what to put in your bodies?" The Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, says vaccines protect people from diseases like the mumps, measles, and hepatitis B. Aubrey Jewett, Associate Director of the School of Politics at UCF, says the announcement made by the governor and Florida Surgeon General might give people a reason to doubt vaccines.
The way the governor and the Surgeon General announced it, it made it seem like we were going to eliminate all vaccines and they were just going to snap their fingers and do it. That's not the way it works. They'd actually have to get the legislature to change the law, and lots of Republicans, including almost all Democrats, don't seem to think this is a great idea. So
Jewett says the skepticism in vaccines really started to increase after COVID. The CDC website says vaccines have prevented 508 million illnesses.
While this might not be an actual vaccine, with the current regulations in place, the CDC says about 4 million deaths are prevented each year due to childhood vaccinations, and that vaccines and shots like this little guy have saved over 1.1 million lives.
Alicia Jane is a first-year biomedical sciences major at UCF. Jane says our community is very strong but also very intertwined.
If one person, because of their opinions, is choosing to not get vaccinated, it really does impact anyone. It's to the point where you could be sitting next to a stranger on Starbucks and you have no idea you're sitting next to a carrier of some disease that may have not even been discovered yet and that was prevented by a vaccine.
Jane says people need to have independent choice but also to think about others in the community. This movement, if backed by congressional approval, would make Florida the first state to remove all vaccine mandates from schoolgoers. In Orlando, Skyler Williamson, The Charge on Air.
Ladapo says forcing vaccine mandates is wrong, and Governor Ron DeSantis says that lawmakers are looking into developing a legislative package to end any remaining mandates.
UCF offensive line coach Sean Clark is now in stable condition after a medical emergency last week. UCF football posted on X last week that line coach Sean Clark was sent to the hospital that night prior due to a medical emergency. Clark remains hospitalized and is currently in stable condition. The last update Coach Frost made on the matter was in a press conference on September 15th. While Clark recovers, the team will look to bring in a veteran coach for right now. Clark's hand-picked assistant Alex Farah will step up to fill the role. Frost says that his thoughts are with Clark and his family during this difficult time.
Hispanic Heritage Month began Monday, and the Hispanic Student Association, or HSA, gathered at Menchie's yesterday for its first social of the semester. Students filled their cups with froyo and filled their conversations with their favorite things of Hispanic culture, like different music artists. Celine Torres is the president of HSA. She says events like these are important to bring people together and bond.
Loud and we're proud. I mean, around 30% of individuals at UCF are Hispanic students. That's why we're a Hispanic serving institution. And I don't want people to go left unseen or unheard.
Until October 15th. Without giving too much away, Torres said HSA has plans for other big gatherings this month. To stay up to date on all their events, be sure to follow hsa.ucf on Instagram. Don't let these cooler mornings fool you. Florida's still got some tricks up her sleeve.
The humidity took a half day this week, but the weekend, oh, she's bringing back those storms like an unwanted group text.
And it's just in time for kickoff. UCF faces UNC, so while the weather may be a little shaky, the Knights are looking to stay solid on the ground.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire. How to control the flames. What to do with hot coals. How to secure your chains. But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. And in our family, we're used to getting involved, and I encourage you to do the same, especially when it comes to caring for your loved ones. When I think about Alzheimer's and the impact it had on my family, I recognize that losing a race isn't such a bad day after all. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Welcome back, everyone.
It's time to check with the student meteorologist Matt Bitts from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University for a look at the national forecast.
Well, we have a rainy pattern that's going to continue across portions of the United States over the next several days. And our big concern with this pattern is going to be those training storms or those multiple days where we see storms over the same areas. We have a couple key spots we have to keep our eye on for that. Our first is going to be the upper Midwest and across portions of the Great Lakes. And this area could see 1 to 2 inches of rain over the next couple of days. And if we head a little further south on the Mississippi, it's the South Plains and the Ozarks that could see those training storms over the next several days. And this area could see as much as 4 to 5 inches of rain. And well, at least for here, we will take this rain with some of the drought concerns we've seen across this area over the past several weeks. And unfortunately, with it being September, we always have to keep our eye on the tropics. And we do have Tropical Storm Gabrielle across the Central Atlantic. Thankfully, Gabrielle is going to make a big old turn and head off towards the north and east, but it's your reminder, Florida has seen 4 hurricane landfalls after this date over the past 3 years, and always keep your eye on the tropics. With that, we head back to UCF with your weather over the next few days.
Thanks, Matt. Now the wait is over. We can get the answers to our questions earlier.
Finally, I need to know, what's the deal this weekend? Are my curls going to survive, or will it be Frizz City?
Only one way to find out. Let's check in with student meteorologist Bryanna Valderrama.
Well, frizzy hair, don't care may have to be our saying with the current temperatures. And if we take a look here, we are very, very high. With our temperatures in Gainesville and Palm Coast, we are at 92 and 86%. Oh my goodness. And then below towards the south, we're ranging 91 to 86 to 83% in Winter Haven, Tampa, and Melbourne. So whichever area you're in, may want to use a fan. I know I'll be having one with me. Now let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. On Saturday, you're looking very good for the game, 90-degree weather and only 25% chance of rain. So I would say bring your water, but just in case, an umbrella, you never know with Florida. And through the rest of the week, we are gonna have pretty high weather ranging from the high 80s to low 90s with very low precipitation, so you don't have to worry about bringing the umbrella towards school. But yeah, we are definitely looking at a high humidity. All right, guys, back to you at the desk.
Okay, I really need to start going to more games because UCF has been on fire. Our Knights are showing out.
And clearly, 2 is our lucky number because in year 2 of the Big 12, teams like women's soccer are making big moves and even bigger statements. We've got all that and more coming up, so don't go anywhere. You do not want to miss this sports update.
Jason, let's go see your room.
What do you think? We kept it a little spare, so you can decorate it how you like.
Dinner!
Go. Excellent. Soccer is fun. Yeah, I saw you guys out there. We're the family. Yeah! I thought you were on my team.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. Those 9 months were also 273 days of planning. What about your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. And let's not forget those barbecues you plan in detail for your family and your more vegetarian by the day best friends. That surprise party for your parents' golden anniversary? You get the golden planning. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
How crazy it is at UCF right now.
Good afternoon, Knights. My name is Camila Escobar, and I'm here to give you the latest update on everything UCF sports. UCF football had a bye week this week as they prepared to host North Carolina for a non-conference matchup tomorrow for the first time. And Frost is no stranger to the Tar Heels head coach, and during Frost's time with the New York Jets, Bill Belichick served as the defensive coordinator. These two will meet again over 3 decades later under completely different circumstances. The coaching staff and players look at this ACC opponent as just another game and are excited to get out there and fight.
Got a big challenge ahead of us with North Carolina coming in. Guys got some downtime. I think we needed that to recover. It's been kind of a hard week around with things that happened off the field, but I think the guys are ready to get back to work.
The Knights are 2-0 on their campaign after beating North Carolina A&T, and they are hoping to build on that momentum. The Knights are ready to take on their final non-conference foe tomorrow, and kickoff is at 3:30 p.m. UCF sports never sleep, but I sure do. Skyler, Cecily, back to you.
Thank you, Camila. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for spending part of your day with us. And remember, you can keep up with us during the week on thechargenews.com.
Before we go, here's a live look at downtown Orlando. And stay tuned after the show to see the first episode to see the Golf at Golf at Night, a podcast produced by the UCF Golf Scholars Program. Thanks for watching, and as always, your favorite Legally Blonde twins are out.
Like Elwood said, have faith in yourself.
And in your weather app.
See you later.
Hi there, I'm Leanne, the graduate teaching assistant for the UCF Golf Scholars Program, and I'm really happy to welcome you to the second season of the UCF Golf Scholars podcast. This season is titled The Golf at Night. I am here with our second cohort of Golf Scholars, Stasia, Mikkel, Maggie, and Tanisha, and they're going to be telling you a little bit about this season's podcast, what they learned, why you guys should listen, and all that great stuff.
So I'm a digital media major, so at first it might be kind of confusing why I'm in a Golf Scholars Program, but when I saw the email that they sent to us about whether we would like to join the Golf Scholars Program or not, I've always been someone who's cared about the environment. I've grown up in around the Gulf area, Florida, almost my entire life, and to me, it's very important that we preserve the environment, we preserve nature, especially in the face of all these challenges that are happening: rising sea levels, rising temperatures, policy changing around the Gulf Coast. I think it's very important to show people why it's important that we fight to preserve and protect the Gulf Coast that we live on.
For me, I joined the Golf Scholar Program because I believe in every opportunity that's given to you, you should take it. Even though I am a communication major, this was an opportunity I saw. And as somebody who is very big on the environment, I saw this opportunity and I just took it.
My major has nothing to do with the environment. I'm a film major, so I write movies, I direct movies. But when I received an email about joining the Golf Scholars, I thought, you know what, this is something different. That sounds nice. So I joined so I can see the beauty that the world has, specifically the beauty of the ocean. And as a film major, I do feel a sense of responsibility to use my gift that I was given to showcase the negative impact us humans have on our ecosystem. Because we get one planet. We don't get to go to Mars. Okay, we're not going anytime soon. So we get one planet, we need to start treating it better.
I think this Golf Scholar Program is something really special, especially this project. The Gulf Coast is such a big part of the East Coast. There's multiple states aligning it. There's so many river streams from different states all the way up to Minnesota that feeds into the Gulf. And so it really is a big part of the East Coast of America. And I think taking this project and all of our different majors and trying to communicate the importance of the Gulf and the challenges that we face in the Gulf is a really special project.
What do you hope people take away from listening to this podcast?
First of all, just to show what the Gulf Coast is like. We went to a lot of different places on the Gulf Coast. We've seen what areas up around Panhandle are like, areas closer or further down. But I think most of all, just to see that it's worth protecting, and then there are challenges to it. Like we've spoken to people down there, we've seen what the effects of hurricanes, the impacts they've had. We've seen the impacts of red tide and so on. And we've seen what people are doing to try and help that, prevent that, and how people are living and adapting to that. And we've talked to a lot of people, experts, and heard their opinions about what's happening with the Gulf Coast, about all the good and bad things that are happening to it. And yeah, I just think it's very important for people to just see that and take away that, first of all, they can make an impact, And second of all, there needs to be some sort of voice for change, because there are a lot of things that need to be changed, a lot of things that need to be said. And it's important people hear that and spread that.
For me, I hope people take away of how the Golf Scholar impact many communities around it, very small communities, very big communities, and also take how we could do better people the community.
What I really hope people take away from the Golf Scholars program and this podcast is there are people in this world who do care about our ecosystem, about the earth. And, just one person can make a really big impact. And just imagine what 1,000 people's impact can have on the planet.
Watching our group's passion grow over the semester and then going to different communities, small and big, and hearing their passion about the Gulf and protecting it and living in it was really something special, and I hope we can try to communicate that passion to let others grow as well.
As students who live here in Florida, what kind of changes do you want to see to benefit your local environment?
I think it's definitely, there are a lot of close-knit communities there. So I think one thing I'd love to see is, first of all, more support for them, both from people and the government, just having more resources for people to have in case of, like, let's say hurricanes. Hurricanes are something that can very heavily impact people on the Gulf Coast. More resources for them to, like, help animals, like sea turtles. And then also for people to, sea level rise is also an issue there. And of course, warmer temperatures and everything. So having resources for people to take or use, like, let's say they need to move or they need to fix some water damage, etc. People are going to need to adapt very much along those areas. And I feel like it's important to remember the community we have there and we make sure we don't leave them behind.
I do agree with Miguel. I do feel like the government should help, like, the communities over there, even the small communities, because sometimes they don't have the best resources when it comes to, like, communication about, like, hey, a big hurricane is coming, we need to evacuate. So I think, like, the government should help out those communities, but not only them, but also the animals as well, having different resources. But it should not only be the government. I also feel like it should be other communities as well, helping each other out. For example, like, this organization can go to the beach and, like, do a beach cleanup day. So I do feel like no matter big or small, everybody should be helping out one way or another.
To go off what Tanisha was just saying about, like, cleaning up, like, beach cleanups, there's a lot of trash, not just on the beach, but just everywhere. Trash is in our neighbors' yards, trash is on our school's campus. Yes, there are places that implement recycling bins and that have scattered trash cans, but people are selfish, people are lazy. So hopefully this podcast will be able to help people see how just one wrapper of a candy can completely destroy an entire ecosystem.
I think being from Central Florida, we can see that community is what is really important. This isn't just a two-party issue or belief system. We're all in this together. And even though we may be far from the Gulf, we still feel the effects of the Gulf, and the Gulf feels effects from us, just like the trash from us going and leading into the Gulf. So it really is important that we're all in this together, we're working together, and we're trying to fix this together. I think this season's going to be really interesting because we're going into a unique topic of the Gulf at night, and a lot of people don't see or know what's happening at night. So it's kind of unraveling secrets that we may not know, or unraveling secrets of what happened during the daytime that the Gulf sees at night. So I think it can be a really interesting topic for this season.
You guys are going to love it.
It's going to be amazing.
This is going to be the first visual podcast, so hopefully you guys will be able to see the impact, not just hear about the impact.
Okay, guys, I think that's pretty good. Listeners, hit next. Listen to the next episode. We'll see you there. Bye-bye.